This is Ion Sullivan. I am your host, Mike McGuire, joined today, as we are each week, by the chairman, Rob Doherty. Hey, Rob. Afternoon.
Hey, how we doing today?
What a week this has been. I'm on call. I was on trial.
Wow.
You and I have...
You were on trial?
Well, I was on trial, you know.
Oh, you were
there.
There
are those in the community that like to see me on trial all the time. But it's been a busy week, but we wanted to make sure that we got a show done. But you and I haven't even seen each other. We got a chance to spend an hour together on Saturday.
Yeah.
But that's it. It's been crazy. You've been asking me questions during the week. I haven't even had a chance to get back to you.
No,
so that's the way
not.
it is.
It's hurtful.
Well, we've got a...
I guess I get what I pay for.
That's it. Well, if only your son could take his foot, check up on the accelerator a little bit, we'd be all good. So, it's been a dark week, though, for the country.
Let me tell you, this is the worst of the worst.
And, you know, this country was built on differing views.
Correct.
And when the Founding Fathers designed our Constitution, they designed it in such a way that would protect speech, primarily political speech.
Correct.
And look, there are people on both sides of the aisle that I don't agree with everything that they say. It's their right to say it. And obviously I'm referring to a guy like Charlie Kirk, 31-year-old, 2 young children, young wife, his whole life ahead of him. He's 31 years old.
Well, that's what they feared, his whole life ahead of him.
That's exactly right. They're going after the bench, and he had to be silenced.
Correct.
And that's what it is. And hey, look, there's national media not doing it as well as Rob and I, but they're addressing all angles of it. There was an arrest made, and now it'll weave its way through the courts and be done. But
well, it's more than just an arrest. So that young gentleman was on detour. Okay. Jacob probably is on detour. I don't know or not, but it's a
gaming station.
Yeah, correct.
Gaming platform.
So the young gentleman who shot at President Trump was on detour also.
Okay.
Okay. It's owned by a foreign entity. Okay. And so they're relaxing the rules, you know, so 6, 7 guys or gals get on there, and then they start getting a little, you know...
Frisky.
Yeah, I mean, they start saying some outlandish stuff, and it should be shut down.
Sure.
Right? I mean, you know...
And it is not the government.
It is not the government.
The government cannot suppress your right to free speech.
Correct.
Private entities, if it is dangerous speech... can. The question is, where do we go with that?
Yeah, so now you have multiple people, you know, involved. Now, supposedly, I mean, you know, this is what has been feted out of it, is that they apparently, you know, the guy says, hey, the gun's in the bushes, you know, pick up the gun. So this is multiple people involved here now.
Well, in the last question that I understand he was asked, Charlie Kirk, was about trans violence.
Correct.
And with that, the shot rings out.
Correct.
So, I don't know, that seems pretty coincidental.
Well, when you start reading the bullet, you know, I guess they inscribe the bullets. I mean, so...
Catch this.
You know, it all starts, if you're reading this, you're gay, you know, so stuff like that. And, you know, it's getting pretty much out there then.
So, what's interesting is that the national media... The mainstream media came out and right away blamed President Trump for his rhetoric, and he's got to tone down the rhetoric. President Trump was shot in the head, and Charlie Kirk was shot dead.
Correct.
And somehow it's President Trump's fault. That's political.
Well, the same thing happened with Rush Limbaugh.
Correct.
Okay. They, you know, I listened to Rush for 30 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when he had a 1-hour show on WABC. That's how long back I
remember
was
when he had a TV show, 30 Minutes.
Yeah. I went to that show one time.
Is that right?
Yeah. It was a pretty good time.
And
it's
and
not
it was
30
Ron,
minutes, by the way.
After him was Racing from Roosevelt.
Yeah.
And then WWE.
Yeah.
Or WWF at that time.
It was a good night, right?
Yeah.
No, so they, you know, he had to walk around with bodyguard. I remember when I went to the show in particular, you know, there's 2 guys standing in front of him, And if, you wanted him to sign something, you had to present it and then, go in between those two gentlemen, and you never got to touch Rush.
No way.
No. And there was two more guys behind them, and you could clearly see the guns. They
had to be.
They were professionals.
So let's not kid ourselves. Charlie Kirk was assassinated because of his political views.
Well, I believe that it's not just his political views. He was assassinated because they couldn't beat him in dialogue. They couldn't beat him,
Correct.
In a debate. So instead of coming up with better ways to debate, I mean, if you look at it as, the Ford versus Ferrari analogy, right? So Ferrari's the best Le Mans,
right.
team, blah, blah. They just, Ford, Mr. Ford was like, I don't care what this costs. We're going to just...
we're going to do it.
We're going to figure this out.
Right.
And they dealt with, here's the best part about that, they dealt with people they particularly did not like, but they all had a goal.
Sure.
Okay? So they were all on the same team. Not everyone liked each other.
Correct.
Okay?
That's for sure.
But they were going for a goal. And they achieved their goal.
Correct.
By working together.
Correct.
Okay? So now they can't beat Charlie. Okay?
Right.
So instead of reformulating their arguments, just end the argument.
Well, it's exactly right. They can't beat him, first of all, for a young man without a college education. He was extremely articulate, extremely knowledgeable, and
on a lot of
things, and he was charismatic.
Correct.
And that's a dangerous threesome because they don't want to hear from people that are knowledgeable or charismatic or articulate.
By the way, Rush Limbaugh fits all that criteria
absolutely.
as well.
He sure
By
does.
the way.
He sure does. But then their biggest problem is that the world of reality, I mean, we can disagree about what's the best way to deal with immigration, what's the best way to deal with poverty.
I wrote a letter to the editor that was in the paper today talking about housing.
Correct.
Okay?
Yeah.
So this legislature is sitting there talking, we budgeted and saved for this money. This legislature didn't do any of that.
No, that was 2024's budget.
Correct.
That was passed by your legislature.
That was I did that, right? My team did that. So the team that, the Republican Party dismantled.
Correct.
Right? And then I go on to talk about, let's not just put a bullet on a Band-Aid on a bullet hole.
Right.
Let's walk this down and let's get the most for our money, right? Let's improve the college attendance. Let's get people who are past the age of entering college for the first time to get certificate programs, and let's lift the whole community up, okay? And that was my argument. Where the legislature is just saying, let's do one little thing in a non-perpetual fund, which makes zero sense to me.
Fundamentally, Charlie Kirk's arguments could never be refuted. Because he said, you want to dress in a dress? Wear makeup? God bless.
Yeah.
But you're not a woman. A man cannot become a woman. A man cannot give birth. A man cannot nurse a child. They just can't. There's a difference. And they couldn't debate it, so they had to silence it.
That's correct.
And we see that all the time.
Well, I mean, locally we see that.
Well, and that's my point here, is that Charlie was silenced with an assassin's bullet. Martin Luther King Jr. was silenced with a assassin's bullet. Robert Kennedy was silenced with an assassin's bullet. And his brother was, although there may have been some other issues going on with the Kennedy brothers that added to people that wanted to see them out of the way. But basically, those are political assassinations.
They are.
I am not making an analogy to what Greg Goldstein did to you to what happened to Charlie Kirk and his family.
Not at all.
That would be horrible. The point is, you needed to be silenced because you were articulate, you were knowledgeable, you did your homework. They couldn't debate you.
No.
And so they had to vilify you.
Correct.
That was something that you and I, mostly you, I came in off the bench when you needed to, but mostly you took those slings and arrows.
So they, I mean, they were nasty, okay? I mean, so some of the stuff...
And relentless.
Some of the stuff you see on Facebook and other stuff, but the chair of the Democratic Party in the town of Bethel told people not to vote for me because I had cancer and I was going to die.
Correct.
You were wasting your vote.
Wasting a vote.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's the level that these people went to. Okay.
And that's why I wanted to talk about this today, because, you know, I understand he was operating a $200 million essentially political organization. He was going out, and he had swayed the 2024 election.
Yes.
And he had brought young people. I mean, I know that my own son came to me one time in 2024 saying, "Oh, Dad, you have to listen to this guy." Well, I've been listening to him for a couple of years. He says, he makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so when you open the eyes of young people, they were following him in big numbers. And those numbers weren't going to shrink in 2028. Whether it be Marco Rubio or J.D. Vance or someone that we don't even know right now.
2026 they weren't going to.
Correct.
And you can't impeach Donald Trump if the Republicans run Congress.
Correct.
Okay?
Exactly.
And that's the only way that they can silence Donald Trump. They tried with a bullet twice, and they tried to impeach him. They tried to vilify him. He's the bad guy. You know, they propped up, Mr. Biden, President Biden.
Yep.
And you could
literally propped him up.
They literally propped him up, and they said he was doing a great job, They just had the largest revision of jobs in the history of the United States.
Right.
911 jobs.
911,000
jobs. 1,000 jobs. Trump fired the woman who puts the stats together.
Correct, yeah.
And they're like, this is a horrible fire, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, he's trying to cover up the truth. Cover up the truth. He fired her because she didn't tell the truth.
Correct.
Right.
But now no one's talking about that. No one's talking about that firing when they should be screaming from the mountaintops. He was right. He was right.
Correct.
But it's not the truth that they're after.
No, it's not. It's the state of political discord in this country, and the First Amendment was there primarily to protect political speech. This guy was silenced with an assassin's bullet because of his political speech. But now let's bring it down to Sullivan County.
Okay.
The plants in the audience each week were there, and you and I would sit with Saul Alinsky's book, The Rules for Radicals.
Yes, we did.
And I encourage our audience, don't take the word of anybody. Go read it. Go see what it says, and go see how we're behaving politically.
Correct.
And
open your eyes to this.
Open your eyes. You and I were raised by members of the Democratic Party.
Correct.
So we're talking about radicals.
Correct.
And radicals have rules.
Correct.
And they follow those rules, and one of them is isolate and eliminate.
Correct.
So what you experienced for 4 years, we'll recapture what we would experience. You would take it on every Thursday morning.
So every Thursday morning, so Thursday morning, 3 times a month is when they have the legislative meetings, right? So the first week you have some committee meetings. The second week you have some more committee meetings. Then you have the executive committee meeting. That is where the chair basically is pushing their agenda forward. Okay,
Correct.
all right. I mean that's the meeting of all meetings, right?
Right.
And then you take all those committees and then you put them into the final meeting, and then you approve everything.
Everything gets voted on.
For the last time. Okay.
Yep.
So the last time, right? So they would have people lined up, and I'm telling you, so you get 3 minutes each. Public comment would go for over an hour easily. Okay.
I want to stop you right there. You just said something, 3 minutes each. Where did that 3 minutes come from?
So that is what every school board uses, and that is the standard of what everyone uses.
But our legislature, under your leadership, passed a set of rules. This wasn't Rob Doherty's rule.
No, we voted on this.
This was rules that were voted on. They were distributed to all the members. They had an opportunity to review it for several weeks. And they voted. So the board passed the rules.
I believe that passed 9-0.
It passed 9-0.
Correct.
Without even a whole lot of debate.
No.
So the rule was 3 minutes.
Correct.
Okay.
So other places do, one other township I know does 2 minutes, but commonly it's 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Okay. And then some people would say, I have an extra, I need another minute to finish my point. Okay, no problem. Now keep in mind.
You never, not one time in 4 years, denied anybody additional time.
I did not.
In fact, so much so that you had inserted into the rules. And folks, it's very important that you understand this because we're in the political season again.
Correct.
And we open the political season with a political assassination.
Correct.
They like to use the word dictator. He's a dictator.
Correct.
In fact, Greg Goldstein made that, essentially that statement in the clip that we played last episode of Ion Sullivan, that we needed someone that could work with people, and he was being a dictator. But I think that it was Rob Doherty that created the rule or put it in, and it was passed, that the clerk to the legislature would be the timekeeper,
Correct.
And she would determine whether or not someone could get additional time.
Correct. So and Ira Steingart disagreed with that.
Correct.
And said that the chair of that particular committee should do that. And I said, why would you let a chair, who, is grandstanding? Why does everyone on the committee have to suffer? Prime example. Yesterday, Health and Family Services meeting. Okay?
I heard about this. Go ahead.
2.5 hours long. 5-6 resolutions. 2.5 hours long.
Now, folks, that should be a 20 to 30 minute meeting.
Correct.
That's it.
Correct. I mean, I would do my executive. I have more resolutions than anyone.
Sometimes 30, 40.
Correct. And I would run through that thing. And there was no deals in the back room with me.
Never.
Right? So it was first, second, discuss.
Right.
We even had legislators say, we haven't discussed this in the back yet. Okay? And I'm like, well, we're not going to.
Oh, you're just throwing this on us now. We haven't even talked about this.
I said, well, you got the packet last Friday.
Right.
Today's Thursday. You had a week. You could have called me. You could have asked any question you wanted.
Call the commissioner that you wanted. Right.
Correct. You could have done anything you wanted
right.
to. And then, and then the dog I ate my homework excuses would come out all the time.
Yep.
And so I wanted dialogue. I wanted to go, the back and forth.
And
I had no problem.
Public dialogue. You wanted dialogue in public.
Correct. And I had no problem with that.
So people would come up. The rule is 3 minutes.
Correct.
Now, folks, this is where I want to get to, is that there would be plants in the audience.
Correct.
They would meet on Tuesday night. They wouldn't meet to go over their materials, but they would meet to figure out who was going to raise what issue.
And do you know where they met?
Where?
They met at the SCVA's building across from the Liberty Diner.
And at least they had plenty of money to buy them coffee.
So Roberta Lockwood used to run me down and said I was ruining, the place. The year before I came into office,
they had no place to store all that money you were sending them.
They got $900,000 the year before I got into office. The year I left office, they got $3.1 million.
Yeah.
I remember Sims Foster, when we were negotiating the contract, and I said at $2 million, that's really when you guys start really raking it in, and the percentages just go way up, and you guys will be rolling when you get to $2 million. And what did Sims Foster say to me?
He said, that's great. Well, we'll set the stage. You were looking at a graduated schedule.
Correct.
So the more they made, the higher the percentage of money they would get.
Correct.
And so at over $2 million, they would get a percentage that was close to what they had previously.
Correct.
And Sims Foster said, essentially, well, you're really giving us nothing because we'll never get to $2 million.
That is correct.
That's what he said.
Correct.
And
within 1 year, they were at $2 million.
Correct. And then they went to $3 million.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because I said, if I'm just handing you money, we're going to get nothing in return.
Correct.
If you have to scratch for the money,
right,
put a little hard work, a little sweat on the brow for the money, everyone's going to win on that.
Everyone's going to win.
And that's exactly what happened.
So
they would meet over at the SCVA building on Tuesday nights, okay? And they would go over who's saying what, right? What's the topics? Because there were times, right? And this is a true story. So there were times that they would start talking about something, right? You'd have your public comment.
Right.
And so so let's say you have 4 committees in a day, right? So in the first committee, and let's say it's public safety, right? They would talk about something that had nothing to do with public safety,
right?
But this is a setup,
correct,
to where they're going, right? So they're just laying the foundation, right? And I remember, so everyone has their phone with them, right? I mean, everyone has. I don't care who you are, you have your phone with you. And we'd be texting back and forth to each other, like, "Where's this going?" And Brooksy or George would be like, "I have no idea." And Alan would be like, "I don't know where this is going," right? And then by the time you got to the second meeting, you saw it a little bit more, and then the third meeting, you saw it, and then in the fourth meeting, when they had a friendly face running the committee meeting, oh, give them another minute. Oh, give them another minute. And people would be up there for 5-6 minutes.
So I understand that yesterday somebody was up there for 25, 30 minutes.
They don't care.
They don't care.
They don't care.
So even though under your leadership, it was 3 minutes, passed unanimously, people would come up to the podium. Before they said good morning,
they would say,
may I address the legislature, they would say, Annie, I need more time.
And I'm going to tell you why that is.
Right.
Because they've practiced this speech 1,000 times at home.
Correct.
Okay? This is an organization, folks.
Correct.
This is not just people getting up there and talking about, I don't want you to dig ditches, deeper than, 8 inches on my side of the road because I have a toddler, right? Stuff stuff that you see in small towns, right? I mean, like when you go to a town board meeting, the stuff that they talk about, but it's personal to them, right? So it's important, right, to them, right? And then you'd be like, okay, I'll take notes about that. Oddly enough, Gary Moss, who I don't agree with on a whole lot. He runs a hell of a meeting. I have to tell you.
Yeah, you've always said that.
Yeah. He runs a hell of a meeting, and he takes notes on that stuff, right? And people come up and speak on what we would consider minor issues,
insignificant issues.
Yeah. But to them, it's a big issue.
Big deal,
right?
Sure.
I mean, they're going to be painting on this day. The guy has a moving truck coming this day. Can you paint? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Small town stuff.
So the point is, though, that
so
4 years,
so we'd be going back and forth, wondering where this was going, right? And then so what they were doing was they were setting you up,
right?
For when they would get into a friendly confines, and then they would just let loose.
So people would come up, and Annie always gave them all the time they wanted.
Correct, up to 5 minutes.
But what was amazing would be that you'd have members of the legislature that voted on the 3 minutes, rules for radicals. They would start to attack you, the chair, with your suppressing people's right to be heard, and they have a right to speak and whatnot.
Correct.
You never stopped anyone from speaking.
Never.
But that was where they were going to personalize and isolate.
So when we sat down with Tom Bowes, right? So, as you know, Tom Bowes was the architect of taking out the Republican legislature.
Correct.
Okay. So, and that's
he won Democrat of the Year this year.
Yeah. So, there's other reasons he should have won that, but that's a different story for another day. So, I met with him twice.
Right.
okay, at a fellow attorney's home, and once for an hour and a half, and another time for an hour.
He was very gracious. He opened up his home to us and let us stay as late as we wanted. In fact, he left. We shut the lights off the first time.
Correct. Yeah, I think they went to a ball game.
They went to a ball game or something. He said, just shut the lights off and you leave.
Yeah, we're like, all right. So we thought we had worked everything out, right? You were correct because you said nothing's worked out. Trust me. I was like, I don't know. That seemed like, but one of the things Tom said to me in both meetings was, "You're shutting down debate."
Right.
I said, Tom, they have up to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
They get 3 minutes and then another minute and then another minute, as long as the point is being laid out. Okay. And he says, "That's not what I heard." I said, "Well, then come to a meeting. Come to a meeting.
Yeah.
All right. That's what I heard. I don't know what that means, though. I mean,
they're all on video. You can go watch them.
You can go back and watch our meetings today,
right,
if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Right. So I was.
Do we get royalties for that?
I don't know. That's a good question. So I always asked that. I was always dumbfounded by that. Like, why don't you just watch it?
Yeah. Right.
I mean, you could just figure it out.
But that's a point, a pertinent point. They don't want to watch it because then they can't debate reality.
Correct.
They don't want to admit that a man cannot be a woman.
Correct.
You put a lipstick on a man, it's still a man.
So
you cut his penis off, he's still a man because he still has a Y chromosome.
Correct. So there's this organization called the Senior Legislative Action Committee, right? SLAC.
A bunch of slackers.
Right. So they never once invited me in 4 years.
Correct.
They never invited me to a meeting. Right?
Tuesday nights over at the SCVA.
So if you were going to have a legislative action committee, you might want to,
speak with a legislator.
Bring the chair in who has clearly had the votes to get whatever they wanted to get passed.
Sets the agenda.
Correct.
Right.
So you might want to have a chat with that person. Not one time.
And it was a chair that never turned anyone down for a meeting.
How many times did we have poor Mikey Brooks starving, okay?
Oh, my God.
Because Mike Brooks liked to eat lunch around 11 o'clock,
right.
Okay? Right? And so the meetings would be over.
Yep.
And it'd be 12:30, and someone would be like, "Hey, Mr. Darty, I want to ask you a question." I'd be like, "Yeah, you can ask me anything you want." And I'd be like, "Mike, can you stay here?" And then Mike would stay, and then we went to lunch afterwards. Myself, George Conklin, Michael Brooks, and we even dragged Nikki Salamone with us sometimes. So we would sit there, and it would wind up being like a 45-minute to an hour session.
Correct.
Of them asking any. I mean, I was basically doing a Charlie Kirk.
Correct.
I just sat in a chair. You asked me questions, and I answered the question.
Give you an answer.
Right? And and
I'll give you my reasoning.
Yeah, correct.
We can debate it even if you want.
And I'd walk it down, and they'd be like, "Well, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense." And then the same person would be at the meeting the following week with signs. Darty must resign.
Right.
Right. I'm like. Calling me a dictator. I'm like, I answered every question you asked me. But, that's not here nor there.
So, all right. So these people had every opportunity to speak in the legislature, but the key was that you had to be isolated.
Correct.
And vilified. Okay.
Correct.
And sometimes we would have 10 or more people giving a public comment.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was very common.
One after another.
And they all had an opportunity to speak.
Correct.
So now we go to the town of Highland.
Yeah.
Where they only give 2 minutes.
Oh, no. That was that decision that night. So now it vacillates.
Right.
Some people get 3 minutes. Some people get 2 minutes. It all depends on what you're saying.
Right. So he'd get 2 minutes. He said 2 minutes because he'll check the audience. There was 3 people that were giving public comments. After he had the public wait for a half hour, 45 minutes while they went into executive session.
Correct, which is crazy.
That's kind of rude to the public.
Correct.
Then the people that stayed around only for public comment because the only thing that came after the meeting was public comment.
Correct.
Those people, there was 3 people who wanted to speak. It was 2 minutes, and at the 2-minute bell, you were silenced. And so I ask you, who's suppressing speech? You have 3 people. You're talking about if you give them 3 minutes, it's 9 minutes versus 6 minutes. So who's suppressing speech?
I mean, so I think it's the far ends of both parties of suppressing speech. You know, you take someone like, you know, my friend Jonathan Hyman, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was on the phone with him before the show, right? We talk for an hour about a topic, right? And we go back and forth, and, you know, we kid each other, and, you know, you go back and forth. I mean, you know, I've never ended the conversation by, oh, I agree with you 100%, Jonathan. Mm-hmm. And he's never ended the conversation by, oh, Rob, now I see your points. Great job, right? Right. That's never happened, right? But you lay out your points, but it does build a camaraderie between each other, because you try to sharpen your argument for the next time you speak with him.
Right.
And that's the whole point.
Of course.
You know, having people think and come up with ideas is not a bad thing.
No, and, you know, obviously, a young man lost his life. Mm-hmm. You can't get much more devastating than that. But what's the real black mark on America and politics in America now is that it happened on a college campus. What more important place for an open exchange of ideas than on a college campus?
That's the whole point of it.
It's the whole point of it. There is no other point of a college.
No.
And if we're going to, on a college campus, and okay, the others will say, well, it wasn't the college that shot him. I get that. But how many times have we seen people with views that were inconsistent with maybe the mainstream of the college shouted down and not permitted to speak at all, or not even allowed to appear on the campus?
So Ben Shapiro, you know, gives these talks at colleges all the time, and they would shout him down, or they would riot outside.
Correct.
Right? So now he got around that. This is the best part. Mm-hmm. He would have it at 9 o'clock in the morning, and they wouldn't show up because they were, you know, they'd sleep in.
Right.
You know, if it was, at night, they were all, you know, fired up and ready to go. But if you had 9 o'clock in the morning and you gave your speech, no
problem.
No one stood up to argue.
Problem.
Yeah.
So Greg Goldstein was brought in, not analogizing an assassin's bullet, but that was the Sullivan County plan to silence Rob Doherty.
That is true, and they did. Well, they got me out of office. They haven't silenced me. I've written several letters to the editor. I'm running for chair of the party so that we can have a more open exchange of ideas of housing, the college, healthcare, things like that. Sure. That as a party we should be saying this is our position, and we should try to find candidates that think like we think and want to move things forward.
If, in fact, how we think is consistent with the values of the party,
correct,
then those are the candidates we should be getting.
Correct.
And that's not suppressing anything. That's saying this is our values. These are our values.
Correct.
And so, therefore, these are our candidates that share our values.
Correct.
That's not a dictatorship.
That's not a dictatorship.
That's a two-party system.
Correct.
Because people should have a choice between the two parties.
Well, Greg even said that in his interview the day after, the dismantling of the majority of the legislature.
Yeah, they should have a choice. They just shouldn't have a choice of a Republican or a Democrat. They should have a choice of Greg Goldstein's version of a Republican, which is a Democrat.
Which is Democrat, yeah.
Right. So, all right.
I got a crazy story about that, okay? So I often comment, and I say, he did this to me, Mike, and George, right? Mm-hmm. But we had alluded to it a little bit before.
Right.
Okay, last show. He also, when they ran ads, they didn't say Terry Bernardo's name.
No.
Okay? So they didn't say Terry Bernardo's name. And then the funny thing is, I was talking to a good friend of mine, Joanne Conway, who ran against Nadia.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay? And she said that Greg, Tom, and another person asked her to go to a meeting in a diner. Mm-hmm. And when she refused to badmouth me and Terry Bernardo, they just basically pushed her to the side.
Correct.
And the next day, the day after the election, so on the 9th, right, of 2023, she sees both of them. I mean, she had worked in the clerk's office at the time. They did a fabulous job. Face to face, close as you and I are right now.
Right.
and they don't say a word to her.
Of course not.
That's how she was like, they definitely, did me in. Definitely did me in. But that's who they are.
That's who they are.
So they systematically chose the disaster, okay? And again,
a true disaster.
They wanted to have common courtesy in the legislature.
Right.
Don't have it. They wanted to have professionally run meetings. They don't have it. And they want people to work together. Oh, they're working together.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Get ready for the tax increase this year. Get ready for the lack of housing, the falling apart. Remember, it was I, along with Wendy Brown and Judge Galligan, that created the Drug Task Force.
Correct.
Okay? And Wendy Brown and Camille O'Brien will tell you that to this very day, right straight to your face.
Because they'll tell you the truth.
Correct. So they... when they got up there and did that whole scene, in the last meeting we had before the election, they were like, "Oh, you're killing people," blah blah blah. It's these guys who let Catholic Charities walk out the door.
Correct.
Walk out the door without even a blip.
Not a blip.
The only agency that handled people handled drug addiction face to face in the county, and they just let them walk out the county.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they didn't say a word.
And we remember Albie Bachman's monthly reports about what the opioid crisis was doing in grassroots Sullivan County.
Correct.
It was pretty severe.
Correct. And then...
severe enough, we have vending machines in the government center for Narcan.
I have one down in my diner.
Yeah.
I have one of the things there. I mean, I remember one day they had to use eight on some girl in the parking lot.
Okay.
But
yeah. So... All right, let's change speeds a little bit. We had a Republican primary for sheriff.
Yeah.
And the sheriff, Mike Schiff, won that.
60-40.
60-40. So it's a pretty significant outcome.
Correct.
Now I'm driving through Bethel en route to
beautiful
Lumberland,
town, isn't it?
Oh my God,
lovely town.
It's just.
I love that town.
You go through Bethel, it's gorgeous. You go through Highland, it's beautiful, but it's a mess.
It's a mess.
And then you get to Lumberland, it's beautiful again.
Correct.
So it's all good. And I passed a sign right by near the Dollar General that said, "Write in Tim Diamond."
All right, let's go, Tim.
What okay, so what's that all about? What's a write-in? What's a write-in about?
So I guess Mr. Diamond.
Yep.
He gave a speech, I believe it was on Monday.
Okay.
In front of the courthouse.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically, broke down the election.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mr. Schiff won handily on the absentee game. And he beat Mike Schiff, the current sheriff, 53-47 on the machines.
Okay.
Here's who's ever advising him, okay? And let me tell you something. Someone's advising him that is in the party now.
It's in the Republican Party.
There is no way in the world you are going to do this. Now, keep in mind, he lives in the same town that Greg Goldstein, the chair of the Republican Party, lives in. Dick Coombe, who put his name into nomination, is. And Hope Costa is the chair of the party of the Neversink,
the town committee.
Yeah, the town committee. They all live there.
Right.
He had to speak to one of them. There is no way in the world that you would do that. I was talking to another chair from another township, and they're like, "Well, you don't need permission." I said, "Okay, let's say the person that lost the primary in your town did that. How would that go over?" And that person said, "Oh, that would be ugly." I said, "Yeah,
there you go."
They're talking to someone. But I'm going to give you an example. So Mike Schiff loses by 6 points.
Yep.
On 38. On the machine vote, I think it's like 1,900, right? So he loses by 6 points. I think they're misreading the electorate. Okay, and I'm going to tell you
what way?
And I'm going to tell you why that is. Tim Diamond then goes on to say, and 1,000 of them went to Brooklyn addresses. Okay. So he's kind of doing the summer people routine, which is not a good game plan. Because, by the way, in the last election, Mike Schiff had gotten about 11,600 votes, and if you're willing to give away 17, 18% of them, because that's what you're doing by saying the summer people, you're probably not going to win that one either.
Probably not going to win that one.
Okay? And you're going to kill your political career going forward.
Correct.
By the way. So what he's misreading is the Hasidic community in Fallsburg, in the village of Monticello, in whatever they call that new, Mayor Zev's new town, right? And parts of Liberty,
right?
Who live here permanently. They live here every day, every night. This is where they live. They're permanent residents.
Yep.
They, homeowners, the whole deal, pay taxes,
the whole nine yards.
The whole 9 yards, right? They vote by absentee.
Sure.
So he's missing the fact. I mean, Tim. I think that guy is a smart guy. I think that Tim. I think that he's new to politics.
Yep.
I think he, had a future in politics. To sit there and not understand that little part of it, that not all of them, not all the Hasidic community voted. They don't go to machines. They generally do absentees.
That's right.
And they live here all the time. So I see that he waited till after the summer to make his announcement because he wanted that part of the community to go home.
Right. Well, that's a miscalculation.
It's a major miscalculation. And it's unfortunate. He's a very likable guy.
Yep.
He's a knowledgeable guy.
Yep. And he's a young man.
And he could
certainly have had a future in local politics.
I agree, but Mike Schiff will be your next sheriff.
Yeah.
I mean, to get 6,000 write-ins.
Oh my God.
Right. People say. I heard someone say, "Oh, they have stamped." Well, you can't use a device.
Right.
In a booth in the state of New York.
Correct.
Okay. You can't hand something to someone else in the room. I mean,
right.
I don't think you understand how this works.
Right.
Right. I mean, it's the rules are against you.
The rules are against you, and you're talking about a county-wide race against a popular sheriff that he fabricated information about to try to isolate and muddy him up. That's what we do. That's the rules for radicals.
Can I tell you how much I learned from Mike Schiff in this election, in that primary?
Go ahead.
So I made mistakes and got into the vitriol, the back and forth.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Mike Schiff showed me if your record is solid, and no one could question my record. My record is solid as a rock.
Solid can be.
Okay. Just sit there and shut up.
That's it.
Sit there and shut up.
Just let the record speak for itself. So,
I got you.
Now this young man is going to continue to try to muddy it up. He got no traction in the Republican Party for his idea that there's rampant corruption in the sheriff's department.
I don't think he did well. With that.
And now he's going to take that on a county-wide level.
And now he's going to include Democrats and independents and other people. Now, remember, Mike, the sheriff has a Republican and conservative lines. I mean, Tim does not have a line. I mean, it's not like he has, Tim Diamond for sheriff line, right?
Right.
I mean, he has no lines, and Mike has 2 lines.
Right.
The chances, and he's basically told 17 to 18% of the electorate, I don't want you voting for me.
We're not interested.
Okay. I mean, so then Mike needs to, gain another, 33% of what's left, right? I think he's going to do that.
He's going to do that.
And he's going to do that.
Yeah. So it's a shame. He's getting bad advice. Tim's getting bad advice from somebody.
He's getting bad advice. And someone's letting him do it.
Somebody's also encouraging him to do it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Hey, keep your powder dry. 4 years goes by real fast. Keep
your powder dry. 4 years goes by real fast. Oh, and by the way, a while ago, there may be a place for you in the administration. Why don't you get into that sheriff's office and kind of run from inside?
Correct.
But He hasn't done any of that. And do you see, after a write-in campaign against a Republican incumbent with the new leadership that's coming, hopefully, in the Republican Party, do you see him getting any traction at all? Remember, this is a guy that created Dems for Diamond right after he chastised the sheriff for talking to the Democratic Party about a cross-endorsement.
Well, he was at the Smallwood Mongup Valley Firehouse 9/11 ceremony the other day.
Tim was.
Yeah, on Thursday. Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah.
He was there. Shows up, right? He's standing on the edge.
Yep.
And I did notice, I was walking over to Jim Farrell. Jim Farrell gave a speech. And I have to tell you, Jim Farrell never disappoints on those speeches.
Right.
Never disappoints.
Correct.
I've listened to 20 of his speeches, okay? And he never disappoints.
No, he does a good job.
And let me tell you, it's not the same speech over and over again.
Correct.
Right? It's not like you've heard one, you heard 20, okay? Now, listen to me. He was reading stuff off of, so, when people were, the log when people were talking back and forth.
Yep.
He's reading it out loud, and oh man, I gotta tell you, the guy's so good at it, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy how good he is at. Right? And then he's been an attorney, obviously, in the DA. So he knows how to command the room.
He knows how to get his message out there.
Oh, he does. Yep. He does a great job.
Does a great job.
So I was walking.
And he's nice up on the bench too.
Okay.
I was before him this morning. He does a very nice job. He holds people accountable for their actions, both sides of the action, district attorney's office and the defense. Does a good job. People are getting better representation because of his on the bench.
That's fantastic news, right?
Yep.
So so I'm walking over to him to say, wow again, right? Yeah. Just fabulous job, right? And he shows up to the veterans, and he shows up to Memorial Day. He does them all, right? And Bethel does a very good job of putting that stuff out there. So you see him a lot, right?
Right.
If you just do Bethel, and it's literally, I walk to it. That's how close I am to the firehouse.
Right? Oh, yeah.
So I'm walking over to him, and Diamond's there, and I shake his hand and say hi.
Yeah, sure.
And then I say to Jim, you never disappoint, blah, blah. We chit-chat a little bit. And then I go back over and I'm watching, and the only person Tim says hello to is Paula Kay. The only person. Like no one else, I shook his hand, but no one else interacted with him.
Yeah.
I just shook his hand because, he's not going to run for office forever, and I think he's a good guy. So
sure. No, he's a very good guy, family man.
Yeah. So I wasn't like, oh, boo. And that's my point. That's our point about Charlie Kirk, right?
That's the point.
Just because I disagree with you, and I sided with Mike Schiff, doesn't mean that I can't talk to you, and that our conversations before are now all thrown away.
And the key is that ideas get refined by having discussions with people that don't agree with you, because you see things from a different perspective.
Steel sharpens steel.
And that's great. But when you have a position that is indefensible factually, you want to talk about housing issue? There's probably two sides of it. But when factually you're saying a man can be a woman, they can't.
But no, there's two.
It simply doesn't happen.
So when they come out with now I have my oldest sister.
Yep.
Right. She didn't change her name to Earl. Her name's Eileen. She's a lovely person.
We love Eileen.
The kind of soul you ever want to meet, right?
We love Eileen.
I tell people all the time, if you're going to judge my family, judge it by her, not by me.
That's right.
Okay. So,
but not by Jane.
Not by Jane. Not by Jane. So, so they when they come out with this, there's 20 different gender. No, there's not.
There's not.
There's two.
There's X chromosomes. There's Y chromosomes.
Correct.
Women are XX. Men are XY.
And then one in a billion. It's I
but
understand
that's
the
a
situation.
birth defect.
Correct.
That's not a way of life. That's a birth defect.
Correct. So it's one in a million. Okay, or beyond.
A lot more than a million.
Okay. So think about it. You don't know a a million people. I mean, it's
Right.
hard to know someone, right?
Right.
So when they sit there and argue the point, and I understand, young people having, difficulty understanding their sexuality and all
No
that.
question.
But you shouldn't mutilate them at that point.
You don't mutilate him at that point.
I mean, you don't mutilate them at
You
that point.
you maybe have him talk to somebody.
Correct.
Maybe have him think about
Correct.
What it is.
And then as an adult, you can make an adult decision.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're not allowed to get a tattoo in the state of New York under the age of 18.
Correct.
You're not even allowed to sign for your child anymore to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're not allowed to do that. Okay? So why would you let someone, change your child's, body?
He used to do this. He'd go on college campuses, and he would do this. Convince me I'm wrong, or
I watched 1,000 videos.
I mean, they're tremendous. And before the tragic events of this week, I saw him debate a person who was identified themselves as trans woman. So born a man, trans to a woman.
Okay.
And he said to this person, in a non-confrontational way, just in a debate, because his fundamental idea, and it's why we bring it back to the local level, is that it's only through communication that we move forward as a society.
Correct.
So he was debating this person on the fundamental, a man cannot become a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Show me the 1 in a billion probably situation where there is a anomaly at birth. But a man cannot become a woman because you can put lipstick on, but you're still an XY. You can grow your hair, you're still an XY. You can cut off your penis, you're still an XY. You can make an artificial female parts, you're still an XY. You still can't give birth, you still can't breastfeed, etc. So he said, remarkable, he said, well, how about if I get a mustache, get a sombrero? He was trying to use some of the touchstone things. Can I be a Mexican? And this person said, oh no, because you're born with that culture. And his point was, aren't you born a man? No. So when you want to say that something that's clearly whatever the entity is, you fundamentally can't have an argument when you can't agree on the fundamental fact.
Correct.
If you don't agree that we are in the county of Sullivan, well, it's going to be pretty hard for you to agree on how you're going to address in the county of Sullivan.
Correct.
And that's the important thing, is that what needs to come from this tragedy is that suppressing somebody's speech because you disagree with it. This is not a man that was full of hate that we're hearing, and divisive. This is a person, if you listen to him speak, there's no hate, there's no anger.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to suppress a speech that you just don't agree with, the society dies. I mean, we fought wars because of people suppressing speech.
So I agree with you. I mean, if you sat there and told me today that the Miami Dolphins are a playoff team, okay, we would argue.
Well, they are in Section 9.
Okay, so we could argue.
Monroe Woodbury may be tough to get by, but
for the next 17 weeks, we can
Correct.
argue that point. Okay,
Absolutely.
But after that 17 weeks, it's an absolute fact that they are not.
They are not.
They are not.
Their Super
Okay.
Bowl comes at the end of April when the draft.
Right. So,
That's what I mean. That's a fact. I mean, if you're going to be in the middle of the playoffs, still arguing you're a playoff team, wait a minute. Playoffs are going on, and they're not in it.
the point being is that we know how many genders there are.
That's it.
We know that. I understand that you may have Jacob's flagging you.
Yeah.
You may have internal things going on, and I understand that, and I feel for you and all that. But to say that you are physically a woman,
Right.
Okay.
Just by virtue of mutilating your body.
Okay. That is not the case.
Correct.
Okay. And that was his argument. Was
Correct.
like, if you're going to argue something that cannot change.
Right.
Okay. And now we have, friends of ours, children have had, tough experiences with that.
Absolutely.
And, that does not change the person.
It doesn't change what you fundamentally, biologically are. You want to live your life a different way? God bless.
God bless. As long as you're not hurting anyone, I don't care what you do.
Defend to the death your right to dress how you want. It's your business.
You want to change your name? Change your name.
Change your name.
I really don't care.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
But to come out and say that you can now play, you're a 18-year-old male, and you're now going to play against females.
All right, so now I think that's a totally different topic. I'm going to tell you why. Mm-hmm. Because if you took the trans, woman, right, and that's correct. So if there's a man and then there's a trans woman, right?
Right.
So, and they just go about their life and they show up to work, in high heels and skirt, the whole deal.
God bless.
Have a ball. You're not hurting no one. You get your work done. I really don't care. Okay? God bless. Okay? But if you're taking someone, a male, who has gone through puberty, okay, and now you're putting them in to play physical sports.
Right.
We're not playing chess or checkers here.
Well, sports that are dependent not necessarily on collisions, but on strength, on muscular endurance.
Just jumping
something like
ability.
Swimming or running or jumping. Doesn't even have to be contact. Volleyball.
Well, volleyball. I mean, you saw what that dude over there in California. They were bashing heads in.
Yeah,
bashing heads in.
Literally.
There was a team there was one team that was a playoff team, unlike the Miami Dolphins, who refused to play them.
So University of California, Santa Barbara, had a male on the women's volleyball team. Now they have a men's volleyball team. Could have played on the men's volleyball team, but
no, that's the point. Was not good enough to play on that team.
Well, yeah, that's correct. Not good enough. So he played on the women's team.
Correct.
But you had teams. We're talking about that's major Division I, NCAA.
Correct.
You had teams in their league that wouldn't play against them.
Correct.
I mean, there's a real problem with that.
That guy, the swimmer that went against Riley Gaines and all that.
Yeah.
Okay. Leah Thomas.
Okay.
He lost to women.
Correct.
Okay. You suck.
Right.
Okay. I mean, you just suck.
Yeah.
You're not a good swimmer.
No.
Okay. You maybe, if you showed up to Lake Superior and you swim, you'd be like, oh, that guy's a pretty good swimmer. All right.
Yeah.
But if you're in collegiate sports, and you are 9 inches taller than people, okay, that means that your arms are bigger, your legs are bigger, everything's bigger, and you're losing by seconds to the top women. You suck.
It's just not. You're just not there. But you don't have a right. You see, too many women are losing opportunities to go to state meets.
Well, that happened with the two brothers in Connecticut,
right?
Where there's one girl. She had a teammate that was superior, right? So that girl was winning all the all the races, right, leading up to her senior year,
correct,
right?
Yep.
So then now she's a senior,
right,
right, and she's gonna win these races, right? Because she's the fastest girl in the state of Connecticut. And then they bring in these two brothers. So now she's not getting first; she's getting thirds, right? She can't beat these two,
correct.
And they've already went through puberty. It's impossible. You physically cannot do it.
Cannot do it. So, folks, Rob and I, in our own little corner here, are more than happy to encourage a dialogue on this or any other topic. The key is that the First Amendment is there to protect primarily political speech.
Correct.
And now in this country, we've got a political assassination. That tells us that all the way down to the grassroots in places like Sullivan County, Bethel, Lumberland,
Whoa. We have 2 major pages in this county.
Yep.
With one administrator.
Okay.
Okay.
And let's face it, the social media is where people get their news today.
Okay. I got kicked off. The day I lost the election, I got kicked off.
Right.
Okay?
They don't want to hear that point. And you didn't get kicked off for profanity.
No.
You didn't get kicked off because you were threatening people.
No.
Threatening violence.
No.
They didn't want to hear your position.
Correct.
Ion Sullivan welcomes different views. You want to come on here? We'll give you a full hour, a full day. Jacob, that's okay. We did a full day, right? Okay. We'll give you a full day.
Jacob's the
Explain to us how we are wrong. But don't come in and say, well, people have a right to self-expression. Agreed, end of discussion. You want to dress as a woman? Go right ahead. You really want to mutilate your body? Go right ahead.
As an adult, go ahead.
Go right ahead. But you're not a woman. Or you're not a man. Whatever. We encourage that. Societies don't move forward by suppressing ideas and suppressing speech. The major developments of our time all occurred because there was an open exchange of ideas.
I agree.
And our college campuses, not because of what happened to Mr. Kirk, but our college campuses have been progressively shutting down. Faculty identifies some 90% as Democrat. It's not a party issue.
Correct.
But it's a values and ideas issue.
Same thing in the major media.
Major media, it's the same thing we're seeing.
TMZ, they were cheering when they found out he died.
Well, you had people went on CNN. CNN had to fire Mr. Dowd ultimately, but they blamed him. Folks, we don't have a country if we don't have people that are standing up for different views. Jefferson and Madison, they had very different views. We had Federalists. We had Socialists. We had different views. That's how our Constitution was formed. You think those people got together in Philadelphia and said, hey, let's get this thing done. The Eagles are playing tonight. I don't think so. It's the suppression of ideas, and it's as big a problem in Utah as it is in New York when John Pizzolatto will not allow differing views to be expressed in his meetings.
I agree.
Rob Daugherty didn't suppress views.
Nobody.
You can speak whoever you want. And then you want to speak to me afterwards, speak to me afterwards. So we invite anybody that wants to come up and say, you're wrong. This is why it's dangerous to express views that there's only a man and a woman.
Correct.
There's all these others. Come on, we'll give you all the time. We won't suppress you. We won't shut the thing down. Last words.
Nothing. Just, this was, traumatic to, my children. My sons are 28, 27, and 23. They listened to and liked, Charlie Kirk. They haven't had a figure in their life, outside of, the rap game.
I think to the 20-something and 30-something-year-old group, this is their Kennedy. They're going to remember, this is their 9/11. They're going to remember where they were because this is a person that they looked up to.
Correct.
They agreed or disagreed, but they wanted to hear what he had to say.
Oh, I agree. So, I listened to Rush Limbaugh for 30 years. 30 years.
Yeah.
I mean, if he was gunned down, year 10, I mean, that would have been traumatic to me.
Correct.
And he used a little bit more humor than Charlie Kirk did, and but he walked you through it, and you understood issues and you understood concepts, and he would debate anyone also.
What happens to guys like Ben Shapiro and Megyn Kelly and others that are out there now?
Yeah.
What happens? Or do their families say, quite honestly, I don't want to fly Air Force 2 with your casket either.
Correct.
So it's very sad. It's detrimental. And the next person that comes out and says that so-and-so is a dictator and our democracy is being wiped out, our democracy was wiped out with an assassin's bullet.
Correct.
On a college campus. And that's very scary. So we've come to the end of another episode of Ion Sullivan. We remind everyone to subscribe. We want to subscribe. Once we get to 1,000 subscriptions, we can invite your comments live right here while we are going live and live stream our show. You want to subscribe? You want to leave us a comment? Tell us that we're wrong. You can be as sharp as you want with the comments. That's what we need, an exchange of ideas. And share the link. We want the ideas out there. Don't share just the clip. Share the link. I know that a center plank of your platform is to bring the young people into the party.
Correct.
I don't care how long we have to live on this earth. The future is the young people.
Correct.
We have to keep them on.
You will never be younger as young as you are today.
That's correct. That's absolutely correct. And of course, if you're watching us on YouTube, and most people watch us on YouTube, be sure right now to
smash
that like button. So, on behalf of the chairman, Rob Doherty, this is Mike McGuire thanking you for joining us for another edition of Ion Sullivan. If you want to drop us a line also, you can do so at ionsullivan@gmail.com. That's EYE on Sullivan@gmail.com. And we'll be back next week with another edition of Ion Sullivan.